Alright, so the next thing we want to do is get the power steering pump and reservoir off. But there's a couple of things we'll have to do first. Step one will be to get the serpentine belt taken off. That's pretty straightforward. You'll put a breaker bar on the tensioner pulley bolt over here. You pull it towards the center of the motor. That puts slack in the belt, and you can slip the belt off. The next thing you'll need to do is take off the alternator. There are a couple of connections on the alternator. The red power wire, take that bolt loose, and then unclip the electrical connection. Then there are two long bolts that go through the alternator that hold the alternator to the bracket. You'll take those out, and then you can take the entire alternator off. That gives us access to the power steering pump. So there's the pulley there, and then the reservoir. The first step will be to get the reservoir off. So there are two hose connections on the bottom. One here, that's the return line coming back from the rack, and then this hose that's under here that feeds down into the pump. So this clip will be pretty easy to get to. This one we'll have to see which is easier to get to. There's a clip here at the reservoir end, or there's a clip down here at the pump end. So we'll just have to see which is easier to get to. And then the reservoir is on a bracket. I don't know if you can see it, maybe from this angle. So there's a bolt right here, and then there's another one right over here that will have to come out. So this bolt back here will be pretty easy to get to. This one's a captured nut, so the whole bracket will start to come off as we take this one loose. And there may be a way to get this reservoir, the plastic housing, off the bracket. I got to play with that a little bit and see. So that'll be our first step, and then we'll talk about getting the pump off as well. But we'll check back in as we make a little bit of progress. I should also mention that obviously your power steering fluid reservoir is full of power steering fluid, so you'll need to empty that first. I just use an automotive siphon to suck it out of the top here. Just get a Gatorade bottle or something to as you suck it out to empty the power steering fluid into. Obviously you won't get 100% of the fluid out this way, but you get the vast majority of it. But when you take either of these lines loose here on the bottom, make sure you've got some rags to catch any fluid that remains in the reservoir, because it's going to drop out, and there's likely some fluid in the lines as well that will leak. So you want to catch that and clean it up. Okay, at this point I've got the power steering fluid reservoir off, so you can see the small line and the large line that disconnect off the bottom of it. Definitely have some rags in place when you disconnect these. There's still quite a bit of fluid left in the reservoir that's going to drain out, so you want to catch that so it doesn't make too large of a mess. While you still have this the power steering pump fixed in place, the line that comes in from the bottom is a 16 millimeter. There's a nut kind of it's part of the line. It actually screws into it's like a fitting with a nut that screws into the bottom of the pump. It's a 16 millimeter, so I was able to get to it from the top. So I got a 16 millimeter wrench down there, and I was able to break it loose. And once you get it loose, it's just finger tight, so you can back that off, and there'll probably be some fluid that you need to catch there as well. From that point, there will be two additional bolts that you still have to get. See if I can get you an angle that you can see them. There's one here. As we loosen this, the whole bracket will need to come out because it's captured. You can't get it past the pulley. And then the other one is that one right there. A little tricky to get to. I ended up using a small adjustable wrench to get to it. Once I got it broken loose, then I could put a normal wrench on it. It was just at a weird angle to get it started. So that's what you got to do, and we'll keep moving forward. Okay, there you go. So that's the from the block with the engine, with the power steering pump and reservoir and pulley and all that stuff removed. You may want to cap off this line. I just got a rubber hose cap to go across that so it doesn't leak too much fluid, but that's what it looks like. And here's just another view of the power steering pump These are the two bolt holes that hold the alternator on, and these are the two bolts. Like I said, they never come all the way out. Get you a little better angle on that. The whole bracket slides away from the block as you loosen these, because this one won't clear the pump either. Some people take this off. I didn't have to. I still was able to get to both of those with it on there. And then this would be, if I can get it out of there, the bottom of the pump, and that's the line that comes up from the bottom of the car. Again, I was able to get to that from the top.